Hello and welcome to my SplashKit Sprite walkthrough. I'm going to be showing you today how you can use sprites to make elements that you can associate with bitmaps or animations if you have them, add some layers, make them do things, make them interact with each other, and hopefully you'll be able to find today's walkthrough useful. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is just create a game class, which is just going to be somewhere for us to handle our elements, our sprites, and put them in just to organize them. It's going to need a window, which is just the window we're going to be drawing our sprites to. So I'm just going to call that sprite window. We're going to need a couple of bitmaps for our sprite. I'm actually making a mouse sprite, so we're going to have a mouse front, and there's also going to be another bitmap for the mouse back, which I'm going to assign a little bit later on. And it would be excellent if I could spell private. Let me just fix that. Alright, and of course we have our sprite itself, which I'm actually going to call mouse S for sprite. And those variables will get us started. So I'm just going to go in quickly and make our game constructor. It's going to take our window that's going to tell us the window that we're going to be drawing these to. I'll just set our sprite window variable to be that window that's passed into the function. I will set up a bitmap for our mouse back, and if we go and have a look in my resource folder, here's one I prepared earlier. So there's the image that we're using for the mouse back for our sprite. Alright, so I'll just be calling that back of mouse, and I will pop in that name of that file to set that up. And to make a sprite, all you actually have to do at a minimum is assign it a bitmap. So we actually have enough to go ahead and create our sprite. So I'm going to assign our mouse S sprite as equaling a, now we can use our SplashKit.create sprite method. It's actually overloaded. So if we pop over and have a look at the SplashKit site for a moment and have a look at that create sprite method, you can see there's a few different options there. As I was saying there, you can just give it a bitmap. That's all it actually needs. You can give it an animation as well. I don't have an animation, so we're not going to be doing that. I'm actually just going to take the option of a name and a bitmap. So if we go in and look at the C# option, that tells us the structure of that function. So I'm just going to call it mouse, and I'm going to give it that bitmap we created for the mouse back as a bitmap layer. And now we have a sprite. Alright, now I'm going to tell it to move somewhere because we actually want it to turn up. So by default it'll come up in the top left corner of our window, but I actually want it in the middle of the bottom. So I'm actually just going to get, for our x value, just ask it to get the width of the window divided by 2, and we're just going to take half the width of our sprite. There's another handy property there we can use straight up, just using that sprite name.width, and take half of that just because I want the middle of the sprite centered, and then I want it in the bottom. So we're just grabbing the height of the window, and we're going to similarly get the property for the height of that mouse sprite, just using the dot height, and take that away just because I want its feet at the bottom of the window, not its head with the rest of that sprite disappearing off the screen. So that's all that's doing, just giving us the position of that sprite being the center of the bottom of that window. Okay, I'm also just going to have a function to organize some of the drawing and the listening to the keyboard for events. So I'm just going to call that update. And in there, I'm going to call SplashKit's process events so that it's listening for input to the keyboard, because I'm going to use that in a moment or two. And I'm going to have it clear the window, just using the color white. and I'm going to get it to draw our sprite, which we can simply do with SplashKit.draw sprite, which just takes the actual name of our sprite. So that's pretty easy. And then, of course, we have to remember to refresh that window. Otherwise, we won't actually be able to see our sprite, even though it's drawn. So back in our main method, we want to create our game, so we'll need a window for that. So I'll have a new window, I'll just call it My Window. Title it Fun with Sprites. Are we having fun? And I'm going to make a new game, passing it that window. And then just while nobody closes that window, so while my window not closed requested, or not my window closed requested, I'm just going to call the update function on that game. Alright, so that should have created a sprite, placed it in the bottom center of the screen using those calculations, we hope. And we'll just see what that does. So that's great, we've got our mouse in the center bottom of the window where we want it. It's not very exciting though, it's not doing anything. Also, you can see there's an error message there telling us we never used our front of mouse bitmap, which we didn't, but we're going to use it now because I want to take some input from the user, depending on the arrow keys, move our mouse, and if it's going up away from us, the back of the mouse is fine, but if it's coming down the screen towards us, I want to see the front of the mouse. So I'm going to do that in the next video.